Yeah, get the old Rafa logo. I like the way my shirt is supposed to be the loose fitting one and it's sprayed on, and David's probably got a size small that's
Yeah, you don't want to see my belly. That's fine.
I'm sure your belly is a lot better than ours.
That's all going to go in the edit, don't worry. Okay, you guys ready? Yeah, put your drink down before we start. You can have a drink during it, but let's not start with you having a drink. Hello everybody, and welcome to this, the third in our occasional series of accountants talking about stuff videos. And today we've got three accountants talking about bikes. With me I've got David Halkett and Brian Jukes, and I'm Martin Gibbs, and we all work for Dafferns Chartered Accountants in Coventry. So guys, you've been doing much cycling during the lockdown?
I've certainly been out as much as I can, trying to just get some exercise, get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Just to blow the cobwebs away, so to speak.
What about you, Brian?
Not as much as I would like, but we've had a few family rides, yes. But my pursuit, my chosen pursuit, is off-road, and there isn't an awful lot of off-road around here, so
it's certainly a lot easier for me.
The reason we're all dressed in what might appear to be a bit odd gear is that our passion for cycling is really in three different directions, because there's more types of cycling than just riding a bike. So David is sporting a very nice Rafa top there, because David is a road cyclist. I'm more into cross-country. This is my cyclocross bike. And Brian, you're a young people's mountain biker, aren't you? So
absolutely. Trying to pretend that I'm young. And yes, throwing myself downhill fast, which is my enjoyment. Adrenaline junkie.
What are the typical places that you go to ride then, Brian?
My favourite place is Bike Park Wales in Merthyr Tydfil. But from here, typically it would be there's a place in Ashby de la Zouch called Hicks Lodge where we go quite frequently. Yeah. And there's another one in the Forest of Dean that we go to quite often.
Yes, you and I have been down to the Forest of Dean, haven't we? We did a mountain bike training course about 18 months ago. Was it 2 years? Just over 2 years ago. We had a professional coach training us for a day. It turned out that this guy is somebody called Charlie Hatton, who currently races for the Atherton downhill team. And I remember asking the question, you're not a professional or anything, are you? And he goes, do the mountain bike downhill World Cup.
So where do you cycle then, Martin?
Right, well, my bike up here is it's a Giant. It's a cyclocross bike. I really like to ride on-road and off-road. A couple of years ago, I just got bored one summer and suddenly fancied the idea of just turning left at the end of the road onto a bridleway. Tried it on my road bike, and it was fun, but not a very good idea. So I decided to get a cyclocross bike. And this is what I've got here. This is the bike I'm using most at the moment. And it's probably an interesting one if we talk about our bikes, because in terms of the three different areas, road, cross-country, and mountain biking, they're very, very different bikes for a lot of different purposes. So David, do you want to tell us a quick bit about your bike?
Yeah, definitely. So mine is quite a hard ride. It's a Cervelo S2 aero road bike, as light as a feather, but you tend to feel a lot of the road surface as you're going along. Yeah, it flies as hard as I can push it anyway.
Yeah. So I imagine your bike's about 8 kilos, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so David, you've got 23mm road tyres within a tube, so they're what they call clinchers, rim brakes, and obviously no suspension. Yes. My cyclocross bike here has the same size wheels as yours, but whereas you've got 23mm tyres, mine's got 38mm tyres. Yours are slicks and mine have got knobbles on. My bike is also aluminium. I think yours aluminium or carbon?
Mine's carbon, yeah.
Carbon. So yours is all carbon. Mine's aluminium, but with a carbon fork and a carbon seat post.
Yeah.
You've got 22 gears. I've got just 11 gears. So my bike's got mountain bike gears, disc brakes, chubby tyres, tubeless tyres, so there's no inner tubes. And at the other end of the scale, Brian, yours is a mountain bike.
A Whyte mountain bike, the RT130.
Yep.
So it's the aluminium version. It's quite heavy. It's got front and rear suspension with 130mm of travel. That means that it's set up to be able to take some fairly heavy bumps, go downhill pretty fast, but it's not a full-on downhiller. It's a versatile bike.
So it's more than a cross-country bike. It's definitely a mountain bike, and really ideal for anything that you get in the Peak District or the Lake District or up in Scotland in this in the UK.
If you were a professional downhill mountain biker, you wouldn't be running a bike with 130 millimeters of travel. You'd probably be looking at 150 or even 170. But yeah, I'm not at that level. I'm not going to be pushing myself to be so dangerous that I'm likely to go over the front of the handlebars at every turn. But yeah, I have a lot of fun on it. A lot of fun.
So your bike again has got disc brakes, as I say. It's got front and rear suspension. It's got a dropper post, I assume, so you can raise and lower the
essential.
Absolutely. So on any mountain bike, you need that. Whereas my cyclocross bike here doesn't, although sometimes it would be really useful to have it. So what we've got, I mean, my bike probably looks fairly similar to David's, but is actually closer related to Brian's. You've got your bike helmet there, Brian.
The mountain bike helmet with the much deeper protection on the back, plus peak on the front.
What I've got here is this is a road bike helmet, and this is actually my son's road bike helmet, which is a brand new Bontrager Spectre with wave cell technology and something called MIPS, which is a system whereby it cradles your head, and then if you have an accident, because the outer shell can move independently of the bit that's holding your head. The reason I'm showing you this helmet is that he bought this, about a £200 helmet, and he's used it once, and he does a lot of cycling, but on the first ride, I don't know whether you can see here, he had quite a big accident, and he's written his helmet off on the first ride. So probably brings on to the next topic, top tips for anybody getting into cycling. My number one tip is, whatever you do, wear a helmet. Whatever you're riding, wherever you're riding, wear a helmet. Because I'm seeing loads of people locally here in Rugby with the lockdown. So many more people are riding bikes, and even people riding with children, but so many people are not wearing a helmet. And I just would not get on any bike without a helmet. And Matt, my son, he rides about 8,000 kilometers a year, so he knows what he's doing. First ride with his new helmet a couple of weeks ago, he had a big off, and he's written off his helmet. And had he not had a helmet on, all that would have been his head. Whether or not you look silly, wear a helmet.
The thing that drives me crazy is that I'm seeing so many families coming past our window, because it's a very popular bike route past us, where the kids have got the helmets on, but the parents, no helmets. What sort of message is that sending? It's saying, you've got to wear them, but we're all right. If we fall off, our heads won't hurt. We won't split them open. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's certainly something I every time we go out with the children, we're both wearing helmets. All four of us are wearing helmets. It's just, there is arguments for not wearing helmets, but personal choice for me, I would certainly recommend wearing a helmet. Yeah, there's too much to risk.
Yeah. There's a lot of research, isn't there, particularly in big cities, that wearing a helmet means you're not less likely to have an accident if you're wearing a helmet. But the reality is, you come off a bike and it's going to hurt. Something's going to hit the ground hard. When you come off, you've got no control over what hits the ground first. And I would just say that broken helmet is the warning. David, so you've got somebody wanting to know your piece of wisdom as
I think, certainly from my point of view, if you would like to get into road cycling, I would suggest set a budget and buy the most expensive pair of bib shorts you can get, whatever that budget may be. If it's £60, if it's £100, buy a pair of bib shorts, because you'll certainly benefit from wearing male and female.
Male and female. We are getting into a little bit of a delicate area here, but I'll put on screen what we mean by bib shorts. Brian has got no idea what we're talking about. When you're out cycling, I guess you're in baggy shorts, maybe some knee pads. David and I are wearing Lycra. Brian's wearing some sort of nylon outfit.
It's nylon or polyester, whatever you want to call it. That's the order of the day when it comes to mountain bike wear.
It is. The thing with Lycra is that it keeps you warm, it keeps you cool, it doesn't get soaking wet if it starts to rain, it doesn't flap about in the wind, and not to come to sort of too indelicate a point, bib shorts are absolutely a marvelous invention. They're less practical for ladies, but we won't even get into that. But for blokes, they are a godsend. And for the more mature gentlemen, they're very flattering to the figure as well. Holding your stomach in. When my daughter got married a couple of years ago, the joke in the family was I was considering wearing my bib shorts under the wedding suit just to look my best. What do you wear under your bib shorts?
Nothing.
Nothing, absolutely. And this is the thing that, again, Brian will be shuddering at the idea that, and a lot of people just don't get the idea that when you're on a bike, you don't, you're wearing your bike shorts, but you don't need to wear anything under them. If you do, you're just going to get what's called chafing, and it's not nice.
If you turned up at a mountain bike trail centre wearing bib shorts, you would be laughed out of the park. There is actually a logical reason behind that, and that's that if you're on a road bike, you're trying to go fast, so you want to be streamlined. Whereas if you're on a mountain bike, it's all about adrenaline. Yes, okay, the top riders are trying to get down the hill as fast as they possibly can, but that's all about technique. It's nothing to do with whether you're extremely streamlined or not. It's how good your technique is. So they want to be able to move freely on the bike. And so they wear baggy clothes.
So David, how did you get into cycling then?
In the most recent years, I chose to cycle to work, and I bought myself a hybrid bike just from Halfords, cycled to work for a good couple of years, and then an opportunity came along to buy a Cube road bike, £500-600 worth of road bike. Brilliant little bike it was. And then maybe 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to buy my current bike. Just really commuting to work, leaving the office at the end of the day, being able to spend 30-40 minutes on the bike. It just opens your mind to moving up, getting the next bike, and going on from there.
Commuting is one thing that none of us have actually done at Dafferns. We keep talking about it. We don't have a shower in the office. We'd really need to. We'd need to sort that out and get a shower. I know we keep talking about it.
If I was to cycle to work, it would be along the main roads, the country lanes. Driving down there every day, I can see why I don't currently cycle to work.
Brian, so you're a mountain biker, therefore by definition you don't really ride on roads very much. But how did you get into biking?
It was the classic, actually. It was my son learning to ride a bike for the very first time. He was about 5 years old, I think, and we were riding around a park, and I was running around after him. It's quite a big park, and I was running after him, and I was thinking, this is just silly. Why don't I get a bike where I can actually have a bit of fun with him? Yeah. And it was at this point, obviously, I knew that you were very into mountain biking and biking generally. So I quizzed you on your knowledge of bikes generally, and decided to take the plunge and get an entry-level decent mountain bike, and absolutely loved it when I got it. I got on it and thought...
I seem to remember what you bought was a thing called a Voodoo Bizbongo. Is that what it was?
Yes, that's what you like to call it.
Okay, what was it?
Voodoo Bizango, I think.
Oh, right. Have you still got the Voodoo?
I have, yes, because it actually works as quite a nice bike to ride when you're pottering about on the roads, because it's got narrower tyres than my full suspension bike, and it's lighter. So it's a bit more practical when it comes to riding around on the roads. It's still a nice bike, but as you say, I realised I really enjoyed off-road riding, and so I wanted to upgrade to something that was going to give me a bit more security, I suppose, because I was throwing the bike around, and occasionally you just think, oh, could really do with rear suspension here.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of research and eventually got to the point where I decided that this 130mm travel full suspension bike was ideal for what I wanted.
So the route that you went to buy it is interesting because you chose not to buy it on the internet, but you effectively bought it from a local bike shop.
I happen to know somebody who has a son who works for a local bike shop.
The same person who managed to write this helmet off. But yes, I think all three of us would agree the advantage of buying a bike from the local bike shop is, although it might not quite be as cheap as you could get on the internet, you will get a free service after the first 100 kilometers. If there's any problem with it, you can take it back and they can adjust it for you. It will be properly set up for you, and you are supporting a local business rather than just buying a bike blind on the internet.
I think it's the setup that's the absolute number one in all of that. Yeah. Getting your bike set up just right for you is something that very few people who haven't been riding seriously for a while would even think about. And so if you go to your local bike shop, they're going to instantly have that in mind for you, and so they'll get it right for you from day one. Yeah. Okay, you might need to tweak it, but it's going to be there or thereabouts. If you buy one on the internet, could be way out of line. Who knows?
It goes hand in hand that you'll get the right size frame as well. Quite often you'll see it on the internet. You'll look at the size guides, and it's different sort of measurements for different manufacturers. Yeah. The local mechanic at the bike shop will, they know inside out what you need for your frame and for your height.
The number one thing that I did when I went to the shop with Matt, your son, was to sit on the medium and to sit on the large, which one felt right. Yeah. And it was very clear to me from that experience which one I should get.
Mountain biking then, Brian. We've already discovered that to do your bit of mountain biking, you need to travel from home. So this brings us on to your top tip for anybody getting into cycling.
Yeah, my top tip, absolutely. It's got to be, what type of carrier do you buy for your car? Because you're going to have to put your bike on your car to get to wherever you go. You're going to be very lucky if you're in a position where you can ride from home and have all sorts of different types of mountain bike courses. So, and particularly if you live somewhere like we do, which is quite flat, you're going to have to go quite a number of miles to get to somewhere where you can go downhill. So we started out buying a rear-mounted carrier. And rear-mounted carriers are an absolute nightmare. They are so difficult to manipulate. And you will damage your bikes. If you put any more than one bike on, you're going to have them rubbing against each other,
or damage your car,
and possibly damage your car, but they are a nightmare to use. They take ages to get the bikes on in such a way that you can actually then drive safely off. Don't buy a rear-mounted carrier.
Brian?
Yeah.
So when you say rear-mounted, are they the ones, just for people that haven't looked at them before, are they the ones that sort of, they kind of sit up against the rear window of your car?
Exactly.
They're sitting quite high up on your rear boot.
Yes, that's the type. You can get ones that fit on a saloon, but most of these are designed for sitting on a hatchback. Or an estate. Yes, we ended up going for the top mounted, so roof bar mounted bars. You can get either 3 or 4 of these things. You'll have seen them on cars driving around. So you'll have either 3 or 4 of these mounted on a couple of roof bars. And whilst they might look awkward because they're sat on top of the car, they're actually very easy to use, and they're quick. They're so quick to get bikes on and off, which means that the faff factor is taken out of it.
Yeah, there is a rule in cycling, one of the many rules in cycling, for anybody with a roof-mounted bike rack, which is the value of the bikes has to exceed the value of the car. But I don't think that's one that actually you quite pass.
No, you definitely don't pass that one.
You've not had any moments yet where you've gone into a restricted height car park or anything, and You haven't had any nasty moments? No.
I haven't. I've had a few close shaves where I thought, oh, hang on a minute, I've got bikes, I better not go under there. But yeah, I've never actually done it.
Good stuff. Well, just to wrap up then. So we've already said, that there's lots of different types of cycling you can do. We'd recommend you buy from a local bike shop and get a good relationship with your local bike shop. Always wear a helmet, wear appropriate clothing, whatever you might deem appropriate clothing to be, and think about how you're going to move your bike from A to B. But the other thing, and the bit that I really like about cycling as well, is that these days there's a lot of technology that you can use quite simply using one of these, a bike computer, which just mounts onto your bike, and you can record your ride. It's got GPS in it as well. And you can use a Garmin device like that. You could use, these are both Garmin's incidentally, but you could use Garmin Fitbit. You could use your phone and have Strava or one of these apps on your phone. But whatever you're doing, you can record your ride and you can upload it to one of a number of websites. The one I use is Strava. I don't think, are you guys on Strava?
Not for cycling.
All right, okay.
I do have Strava, but I use it for running.
Okay.
My choice is just my Garmin head unit.
Right.
Yeah, just more for personal route tracking and mileage, speed. But just one thing I would like to point out. I think all three of us, we all started on a bike that is not the bike we currently own and we currently use. Mm-hmm. We may have the original bike in the shed or whatever, but if you were to start out, you don't need to go all in and get a bike that we're suggesting that we have. We all started on something completely different, and we built up to where we are at now. I
would never advise you trying to jump into the ultimate bike, because you won't know what it is until you start riding.
You won't.
100%. Yep.
Going back to brakes, can I just say, if you're mountain biking, I really wouldn't recommend doing anything less than hydraulic disc brakes, because you need serious stopping power on a mountain bike. You're going downhill, you've got gravity on your side, so you need to be able to stop as fast as you possibly can sometimes, and rim brakes are not going to cut it, or indeed non-hydraulic disc brakes will not be good enough.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because a lot of the cheaper entry-level mountain bikes do have what look like disc brakes, but they're cable-operated disc brakes.
Yeah, so much better in the wet as well, aren't they? If downhill, rain, mud, they're going to stop you, whereas rim brakes, not so much.
You don't need a carbon fiber bike. If you crash a carbon fiber bike and you're broken, whereas alloy bikes bounce and bend.
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't be worried about carbon fiber. Another point on rim brakes is that although in the professional cycling peloton, the majority of people these days are riding bikes with disc brakes, Team Sky or Team Ineos are still on rim brakes. Wow. The Tour de France has never been won by somebody riding a bike with disc brakes. So brilliant. Thanks for that, guys. That's really, really useful. And we're going to have a serious thought about getting a shower in at the office, so we can think about commuting, whether or not it's something that's actually going to be practical with the traffic. Who knows? But that will be a joy for everybody in the office if we're bringing our magnificent bikes into the office. I'm sure that will go down well, or maybe not.
Maybe not.
We're living in a new world now, so who knows?
That's been great fun having a chat about bikes. As you can see, we're all into our cycling. It's different types of riding, and there's different bikes for different occasions, for different terrain, and you need different gear, and you don't need to spend a huge amount of money to have a huge amount of fun. See you on the next video. Cheers then.